I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone who teach well, and salutations to you brothers who are going through afflictions in order to bring out this truth every day, and who aren't black identity extremists. We don't promote violence. We are not black identity extremists or Israelites. You know what I mean? But anywho, I just seen this article, and it just goes to show that the so-called white man and the so-called white woman is a liar, okay? This is out of Daily Mail. World's oldest woman, 129, which that's false, and that's going to be proven right now, who says her long life is a punishment from God, remembers the one happy day in her life when she returned home after surviving a Stalin purge in World War II. So she was right about that. Her long life is a punishment from the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, and you need to stop losing sleep and getting your feelings hurt over the so-called white man, because his lies are being figured out just simply because everything you could possibly want to get is on the internet. And not only that, you know what I'm saying, but he's revealing himself in his article. Look right here. So this is the lady who is supposedly 129. This is the camera roll they're finna give us, alright? Koku Istanbulova is 129 according to her Russian passport and pension papers. Okay? And look, man, I'm gonna prove to you this is the so-called devil, man. This is the so-called devil that the Bible speaks of. She's gonna be found to be a liar, man. Born in 1889, Koku Istanbulova is the world's oldest woman, aged 129, which she's a liar, man. She's found to be a liar. And she's going against the Most High's words. It says she remembers how Chechen people were deported en masse by Stalin to Kazakhstan, which, that's a true thing that happened. This shows her house, you know what I'm saying? But look at this, though. This is where I'm like, I don't know. Her Russian paper says she is 129, but it isn't confirmed. But no one in Chechnya doubts it. Hey, first of all those people that were there during that time were so-called Edomites that were trying to escape and go to these different places. Now, see, Stalin knew that. Stalin knew that a lot of these people that were hiding, that these were Amalekites. These were Amalekites. These were people of the chief house of Satan. You know what I mean? And ultimately, the Lord put the spirit on Stalin to kill a lot of them. Now, is that good or is that bad? Who can say? It's up to the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, how secular history plays out and how, that's just prophecy. It was prophecy for these Edomites to finally, drink of the cup, man. Drink of the cup of wrath. Because, prior to this, I'd say prior to the 40s, so-called white man was living absolutely great. All before that, he was living his best life. Then around the 50s, 60s is when he started to decline. But all the way before that, yeah, man, so-called Esau was on top. But anyways, look at these documentation papers. That looks fake. Oh, yeah. Oh, they fucked up. Oh, they let me zoom in. What is this? Look at that picture. That picture looked fake. This writing looks fake as hell. Those numbers on the side look too new. The borders of the document aren't all wrinkled up. You know what I mean? Hey, man, I was born in 1994. If you look at my birth certificate and you sneeze on my birth certificate, it may rip in half. It looks that old. It has been through a lot. You gotta you gotta bring it up to your job slave encampment. When you're trying to get a job, you gotta break out the old birth certificate. And I'm a young man. You know what I mean? So how is it that you were born in 1889 supposedly? Okay. And you got documentation like this, and it says that it isn't confirmed, so she's going to be found to be a liar. Deportation of Chechen nation in 1944. Koku explained the deplorable conditions of the trains. And, really, like I said, these are all Edomites. A lot of them were Edomites that were that converted to Islam, as you can see, to the left of you. And a lot of them, that's what they wore, in the day to day. A lot of them were, so-called Jews. This is where it gets interesting. Shows, okay, she's right about this. She said there's no secret to her old age other than that, it is a sentence from God, which ultimately she knows that she's an Edomite. You know what I mean? She's probably heavy in the scriptures. She probably knows all about the Israelites, how they're gonna come to glory. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Koku said young Caucasus girls, okay? So she knows that she derives from the Caucasus Mountains. Alright, aka cave dweller, aka Esau, Edom. So she knows that she's a so-called Edomite. She knows that she's been found to be a liar. And she knows that she's not the world's oldest woman. Period. Nobody is living past 120 years, thus saith the Lord. Alright? Koku said young Caucasus girls died because from the reputing of their bladders, they were ashamed to go to the toilet in crowded vans. So, and that's judgment from the Most High. Their pride wouldn't allow them to go to the bathroom on themselves. Now, wait a minute. What happened to the so-called Negro in the slave ships? They were defecating all over each other. All right? They had diseases that were being passed one to another. Fevers at an all-time high. People were getting vomited on. Rats, shitting in there, because you best believe there was rats in there, fleas, roaches, because you're in a ship, packed up like sardines. So they want us to feel bad about her. A couple of white girls, Caucasus girls, so-called white women, not using the bathroom, so they died of an infection. Hey, Barakathi Bashim Yao Shai for that. Because honestly, man, that pride deceived them. They thought they were just gonna hold it for the whole train trip. The Most High just went ahead and called their number, man. But Koku here is a young Caucasus girl. So you already know what time it is, man. You already know she's a so-called Jewish person, man, which is really Amalek. And even look at this. It says Chechen nation, Chechens in exile in Kazakhstan. See, because they knew. The people in Kazakhstan knew that these were so-called Edomites. And, he trying to act like, he got hair. That's probably fake. You know what I mean? No so-called Edomite. No Edomite has hair like that. And they do that even to this day. Khabib Nurmagomedov, he wears that shit on his head, man. Because he knows all about that. A lot of these women were under like a Muslim rule. And Nurmagomedov, if you notice, he wears that afro thing all the time, man. And he's a Muslim. So that goes back. So he comes back from that line too. He's from Esau, Edom. You know what I mean? But anyways, Enough of her bullshit. So we're gonna see why this lady is a fucking liar. Talking about she 129 years old. I'm just gonna read the bottom of this and then go to the next chapter. This is Genesis chapter 4, verse 25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For Yahweh said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And so you remember Cain, got the mark of Cain, and that's who Esau comes from. Cain. So obviously, Adam and Eve had a new son named Seth. And it says, verse 26, and to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. So all the time before this, you know what I mean? These were the only two people that had received the true knowledge of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai was Adam and Eve. You see, there was all these other people and their in the lives that they were living, but ultimately it was in sin. You see, because it was still of the world. Adam, really, quite honestly, was the only person that was practicing the law at the time. Not even really Eve was practicing the law, because as you can see, she bit of that fruit, which she didn't really eat the actual fruit, but she started to fall into the philosophy of the world that she helped create, because they lived to be, if I'm not mistaken, like 700 something years old, 800 and something years old. So the world that she helped create, ultimately corrupted her. You know what I mean? But here's where it gets important. It says, then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So prior to this, only really Adam was the only one that the Lord was really looking after. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob come on the scene that things really start to become truly important. Because as you can see here, it says, then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So that's when they were starting to really come together. You know what I mean? And not them as in the whole, the whole world, but it's this was the generation of Edom, or Salakia. This was the generation of Israel. And it says, Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Yahweh created man, in the likeness of Yahweh made him. So that means that the so-called who you call God is a living power, and he looks like a black man. And it says, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name, right? So whatever you come from, whatever you are, comes through your father. First off, that's what that proves. Second of all, if you look at this in the second verse, it says male and female. It didn't say female and male. All right? So I'm getting tired of hearing that goddamn bullshit too. That a woman is supposedly can lead a man, or that she can be a pastor. That's an abomination, man. And that's madness, man. Because what did it say right here? Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, right? In the day when they were created. So what did he do? He made Adam from the dust of the ground. You know what I'm saying? Adam came from the dust of the ground. And from Adam, from his same family line, his same family lineage, came Eve. You know what I'm saying? Adam and Eve isn't two so-called white people chilling, butt naked in a forest. Those were two so-called who you would perceive as black people today. There's no such thing as black. That's just a bunch of bullshit. And it says, and Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. So he was also, an Israelite. And the days of Adam after he begotten Seth were 800 years. And he begot sons and daughters. So this is when the generation of everybody was really enhancing. This is a lot of people being multiplied. Because what did they say? 800 years. Adam was alive on this earth. So, just like I said, he lived to be a long time. This lady is a fucking liar. It's going to be proven once we, get down to, I believe, the bottom. She trying to act like she living like the gods, man. You know what I mean? Like the men of renown, like the men of old. When she couldn't even shine the shoes of these great men. Hell, I couldn't even shine the shoes of these great men. You know what I'm saying? But through grace and through election, we're found to be brethren, relatives unto these people, unto Adam, unto Seth. And more importantly, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he begot sons and daughters. Verse 5, and all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. So at that time he passed, and he went into the spirit world. So if he was 930 years old, he not only has there been a lot of influence, but he's created a lot of people in that time. And it says, and Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begot sons and daughters. So that's even longer. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of people. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. So he lived to be almost 1,000 years old, and that's true. You know what I mean? This is not a fairy tale. The Lord put the spirit on those bodies, even though they were the flesh. He kept those bodies up, and he did a lot of maintenance. And it's kind of like how you'll see an old school car from the 40s, and the guy may go and he may drive it around town. He's got the new parts in it, and much like an old car, the Most High, he changes your inward parts if he wants to. You know what I mean? He can make your body uncorruptible. And in those days, men lived to be that old. And I believe in the next chapter, it tells you why he stopped, why people stopped living this long. And it all goes back to us going off for the first time. Because in that last chapter, what I read, it did say that, what did it say? It did say that then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. All right, so they were, saying, Call halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. You know what I mean? And this is when they were first starting to build these generations of people. And after all this is when, the extra happens. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begot Mahalalel 840 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begot Jared 830 years and begot sons and daughters. So this is starting to rack up years and years and years. And after the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begot Enoch. And Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. And Enoch walked with Yahweh after he begot Methuselah 300 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with Yahweh, and he was not, for Yahweh took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begot Lamech 782 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, This shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. Because they knew that they were going off. The hopeful elect back then knew that they were going off, and that eventually this was going to come to a close. That first person to figure out, okay, this shit is coming to a close, ultimately was Noah. Because that's why at the bottom of here it speaks on Noah, and then it only talks about Noah, because the Lord was with Noah. You know what I mean? And was giving him really giving him the advice. You know what I'm saying? And giving him the mind and the heart and the spirit to understand what was going to happen, and understand that the world was going to be flooded. You know what I mean? So Noah, in all honesty, is one of the first truly blessed individuals. And it says, and Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begot sons and daughters. And this is where it gets very important. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. So what makes Lamech so important is 7 represents completion. So 777 in 7 years, that's a seal. You see, after Lamech died is when these things started to be manifest with Noah. You understand? Lamech dying was the end of an age, so to speak. A golden age as far as the genealogy of the world. How this place was generated was through all these men and these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. It really started to get important when it came to Noah. Noah was a very important prophet, man. And people forget him, because in Sunday school you don't really learn too much about Noah. You hear the story of the ark, but they don't really tell you that he was a prophet and that he was mocked. Noah used to go to the chief place of concords and prophesy. They would say he's crazy. They would say, no, the Lord isn't going to flood this place, And, through Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he was saved, and ultimately we were saved, because that's one of our forefathers. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So we come from Shem. The line of Israel comes from Shem. Ham is you so-called Africans, and Japheth is a lot of you Asians, a lot of you what do you call it? I believe Papua New Guineans. I believe Samoans. Just heathens. It really doesn't matter. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Yahweh saw the daughters of men that were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So after that, the Most High said he's not going to let anybody live past 120 years. Because after the death of Lamech was 777 years old, and he died. That was the end of the age for that. Nobody is, after all that, nobody is living past 120 years. Because, imagine if Esau could live to be 800. There would be no flesh to be saved. Imagine if you had to live the turmoil of Babylon here in America for 700. Oh man, you got the wife, man. Wife on here, messing up the lesson. Salakia. Now I gotta edit it. Salakia. When you get a call, just messes up the whole vibe, man. To you brothers, don't forget to put your phone on airplane mode. Forgot to put my phone on airplane mode. But see, I just disrupted the whole thing. But I'm gonna start again. Genesis 6, verse 2. That the sons of Yahweh saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. So essentially, the lady, she lied. That lady from the Caucasus Mountains is found to be a liar and a devil. And the devil. Okay, talking about she 129, man. She just trying to get clout. That's about it. She's probably like 105, 106, or something like that. Because you really think that the Lord is gonna just not go by his word? Heavens no. And we all saw that document, man. Document looked like it was made yesterday. Verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Yahweh came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So these were men that knew the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know what I mean? Now, there were giants, as far as taller individuals. The Egyptians were very tall people, and other things like that. But there weren't giants as in like a 500-foot creature. The giants were those men, were those learned men. You know what I mean? Because even in the times where the Lord was limiting the years of man, there were still great men. All amongst those times. You know what I mean? There were great men. And that's why it says, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And those men of old and those men of renown were, obviously who you would call elders now in the spirit. Because back then, remember, like we read in the chapter beforehand, after a certain time is when people started to call upon the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Verse 5, and Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. You see, because he was following the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. He wasn't eating, crabs and shrimps. He wasn't, practicing adultery, amongst other things. He's what the Lord wanted the most, you know what I mean? Which was a man after the Lord's very own heart. He wasn't after gain, for his name's sake, for his people's name's sake. He was glorifying Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, And the Lord singles out Noah, and that's why he let Noah live, because Noah was the elect of his time. He was called as the elect in his time. Much like, we pray that we're called the elect in our time. These, verse 9, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man, right? So that means that he practiced, He practiced the law, and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with Yahweh, so that means that he followed the law, statutes, and commandments. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, which is who we come from, Ham, which is the so-called Africans, and Japheth, which I believe is it's another dark-skinned race of people, but once again, not the chosen children, of the Most High. Verse 11, the earth also was corrupt before Yahweh, and the earth was filled with violence. So that means that there was other people also outside of the line of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. There were also other people on the earth. You know what I mean? There were a lot of people that were on the earth. And there was also the so-called white man on the earth at that time too, because Cain was the first. Cain is the progenitor of the Canaanites. Now remember, Canaanites, it mentions the Canaanites earlier. So when Cain went, he freaked off on some black woman, right? And can you imagine that? Whoever he probably met, right? She probably didn't even mind that he was marked with leprosy. And that's these 2/3 women today. They don't mind that they're with a man that has fucking leprosy. They don't mind. But, ultimately, we already know what's going to happen with them. Back to what we were reading. Verse 12, and Yahweh looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And what was his way? His way was to follow the things that Noah was doing. Noah was, first of all, Noah was prophesying. Noah was praying to the Most High God, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and he didn't forget his nationality. He didn't forget his elders. Because a lot of these other guys were like, hey, Noah, let's do this, let's do that. I don't know why you wasting your time praying. I don't know why you wasting your time building that ark. Nigga, let's go party. And, in the times of Noah, they were, getting married, drinking, partying, much like now. But the whole time, Noah spiritually was building an ark, and also physically he was building an ark. So Noah built a spiritual ark to give us a representation so that we can build a spiritual ark, so that when the Lord floods this place with nuclear missiles, we can be found in the Lord's good graces and can be taken in the new ark, which is those chariots. You know what I mean? Verse 13, and Yahweh said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. All right. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make of it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof. With lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. So he was given these words exclusively to Noah. Did the Most High God, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, go to everybody and say, hey, I'm finna flood the earth tonight? No, he only told Noah, because Noah came from that line. He came from a specific line of people, and he birthed a specific line of people. So these elect men are chosen way before they're born. They're ordained from the beginning in order to manifest this prophecy, man. Because you're constantly hearing about people in the Old Testament, you're constantly hearing about people in the New Testament, and these are some of the same people being reincarnated over and over and over again. Because Noah, in his past life, Noah was a righteous man. So it would only make sense that in this life he's generated as a righteous man again. But the Lord is going to save him. But really, that was about it. I was just trying to make sure that people realize that you niggas ain't living past 120. All right, that's just ignorant. And even the devil, she lied saying she's 129. Even she admitted that it's a punishment to be alive from God. And for her to hear her proud ass say that, all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, that's nothing. Her father was probably very evil. Her great grandfather, hell, her great grandfather could have helped overthrow the Jews in Jerusalem during the Roman siege. We don't know, but ultimately we know that it's a judgment from the Most High God, and that those people getting drowned, that was a judgment from the Most High God too. And ultimately, you're not getting out of this. You're not getting out of this judgment, Esau, Edom. Nobody feels sorry for you for being 100 and something years old. I don't feel bad if I was to see her in the street. I'm not holding the door for her. You gotta let them emotions go, because it's fully explained to the men of the Lord what's really going on. And you niggas that can't get it together and want to side with the so-called white man, okay, and don't want to build and edify your people up. Amen to hell with y'all, man, because the 2/3 are already established. As you can see when we read the Canaanites, that was a people that was established early. Canaanites didn't come on the scene fucking 100 years ago. No, the Canaanites have been in the game for a very long time. So that means that a lot of these so-called white people, or a lot of these so-called black people, are actually white. They got Esau's spirit on them. And that's why a lot of these so-called black women, they don't mind getting with Esau, right? Because spiritually, they are Esau. That's why a lot of them go to such high lengths in order to look like Esau, talk like Esau. You know what I mean? And I didn't even see what that. Oh man, your wife. My wife wants me to take out 2 things of meat so she can make dinner, man. And I'm bringing out the meat right now. So I gotta finish this up. I gotta defrost this meat. And that's what I'm trying to do for these people, man, and break down some of these scriptures. But a lot of these people don't get it. And you so-called white people, I'll give it to y'all. A lot of you so-called white people are diligent in this walk and diligent in this search. And even though it's in vain, y'all really do be putting them scriptures together, man. My people can't get it together to save their goddamn life. They can't get it together, man. And ultimately, you're going to have to find it in yourself to get it together, edify your people, follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability, and realize that these devil liars are all around. If she'll lie about the fact that she's 129, what else is she lying about? You really got to think about that. Yeah, because ultimately Esau, Edom is going down. And we all know that. We all know that. A couple more precepts. This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 1, verse 17. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men. Right? And that's those 2/3. And that's those people that are siding with the so-called white man and acting like they don't know what the fuck the men of the Lord are talking about. It says it right here. The Lord, the Lord himself is constantly trying to tell you that he's blinded some of these men. Some of these people will never understand the words that come out of my mouth, the words that come out of the elders' mouths, the apostles' mouths, and it's just meant to be like that. But fuck them, basically. And it continues, they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. So you can't offer up any money to the Heavenly Father for him to spare your life. You know what I mean? So a lot of these celebrities and a lot of these black women celebrities only date white men. So when all this shit goes down and you try to go to Jeremy and you try to get some protection and he's not calling on his power, he's not calling on the power, you're going to realize that you should have got with Jake, man. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. And how is he going to do that? Through missiles. That's why he said that the fire of his jealousy, because what's the fire of the Lord's jealousy, man? The missiles, because ultimately the Most High God, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, has ordained those missiles to hit. You know what I mean? So with that, I just want to pray edification amongst the men of Israel. Thank you to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. And I just want to say, Call Halal, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash.